Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekin for a free $200 credit.
Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Sign up for GoToMeeting using promo code START to begin your free trial. And MailChimp. Manage a list with up to 2,000 subscribers and send 12,000 emails per month for free with MailChimp.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's This Week in Startups. It's August. Wow, am I tired? I need a vacation. I'm going to take one next week. However, Tyler is back from his 6-week vacation. We're going to hear all about Tyler's 6 weeks vacation on this very special Ask Jason episode. What is Ask Jason? That's when everybody asks me questions and I give them the brutal, honest truth about running a startup company and the brutality of being a founder and an entrepreneur. It's going to be an awesome episode. 6 amazing questions from 6 super fans. Stay with us.
What it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil, but funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil, but funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you.
What is that crazy? Whoever did those motion graphics, please have them shot. No, good try. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Calacanis here. This is This Week in Startups, the show about starting companies, about entrepreneurship, about trying to put a dent in the universe, about trying to change the world through great products and services that have just not existed before. And let's face it, it's hard to do this. And one of the things that's made it a lot easier in the last, I'd say just 10 years of entrepreneurship, really I had like I sort of separate the world into 2 periods of time, before 9/11 and after 9/11. It's kind of weird, but I think I had post-traumatic stress disorder after 9/11, so I sort of just like...
You were there, yeah?
Well, I was a mile away from it. I was a lifelong New Yorker. I mean, like, just, that whole thing.
Did you hear it audibly? Or was it visual?
I was listening to Howard Stern on the radio, and he said, some idiots crashed their biplane, their little... thing. He didn't know it was a thing. And I turned on CNN, and then I saw the second plane hit. And then I came downstairs, and it was chaos in the street. And I lived on the West Side Highway, just a mile up from 9/11. And yeah, it was scary times. But anyway, the first half of being an entrepreneur before 9/11, it was like information was in like sort of dot-com boom. You just didn't know how to run a company. There was no Quora. There was no This Week in Startups. There was no Y Combinator. Yeah. There were no blogs. Literally, there were no blogs.
Right.
If you wanted to see a term sheet, you had to...
Fred Wilson's
hire a lawyer.
Wasn't that active?
He didn't have a blog until well after Weblog Inc. So
Mark
2007. There was no
Brad
Mark
Feld
Schuster.
and all that.
No, all that stuff. None of that. So basically, to get this information, you went to parties and you just tried to pull it out of fellow entrepreneurs. And actually, entrepreneurs were kind of guarded.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to the program.
It was their piece of pie, right?
Yeah, it was like I knew what a term sheet was and how to negotiate. I'm not telling you.
Right.
But hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I haven't seen you in 6 weeks.
It's been a while.
I missed you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been 6 weeks.
It's literally, I'm like on my Facebook every day. I cry thinking like, where's my Tyler?
Where in the world is...
Where is Tyler? So wait, you went to Switzerland.
No, I started in France.
Oui, c'est bon.
Yep.
What'd you do in France?
In France, I gave a talk and ate the best chocolate mousse I ever had in my life.
The breast chocolate?
The best. Sorry.
Did you say breast
A little Freudian
mousse?
slips happening here.
Whoa! Okay, so you had the breast chocolate mousse ever.
Yeah.
And then
the best.
You gave a talk.
I gave a talk.
This is unbelievable. You're becoming... How much of it is the show? Like, because of the show...
No, it's not
you
the show.
Get... Well, how else? I was at the conference. Is it doing the conference for all those years?
No.
How do you get all these speaking gigs now? I mean, come on. Be honest. The show gets you these.
This is my piece of the pie. This is my secret sauce.
I'm very happy that people are flying you everywhere. You know why? I don't have the time anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the old days,
we used to go together everywhere.
And you would be coming with me, and then now it's you.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy now. The student has become the master, but you're giving all these talks. You gave a talk in France. Then you gave a talk where?
Then you went to Sweden.
Sweden.
For a month.
For a month?
Yeah.
Were you consulting for somebody, or were you just chilling with your new girlfriend?
Well, I'm talking now with the Swedish government about consulting them about building up the Stockholm community because it's very much like LA was in 2007.
Oh, really?
It's almost identical.
Which is just like there's like 3 or 4 people.
No, there's like 100 startups that are completely fragmented.
Nobody knows.
There's no branding around it. There's no collective ground zero, for lack of a hit that metaphor.
No, listen, it's I have to say, ground zero is like. It's very hard to use that term now.
I know,
because it's like such a sacred term. But anyway, I understand what you mean. I don't take offense to it or anything.
But then I went to from Sweden. I went to Chile.
Oh.
Went to
wow.
Buenos Aires, Argentina.
How far is it to go from Sweden to Chile?
That was a long trip.
How long is that?
It took a while.
3 flights?
It was a couple different flights, and it was like
wow,
nearly a day of travel.
Well, welcome back. We missed
Thanks.
you. And
you know what though? Colombia. I did Argentina and then Colombia. Colombia, go. You got to get down there. Yeah.
All right, I'll go check that out. I will. I need to do
wildly different than what Americans assume it is.
Well, you think Colombia, you just think like, oh my God, the Wild West, cocaine,
no, furthest thing from it. Highly refined, highly affluent.
I do hear that. I do hear that.
It's amazing.
No, it's amazing. Americans just think like, when you hear Colombia in America, you just think like, lawlessness.
No, yeah, furthest thing
squads,
from it. Furthest thing you could think from it.
But it was like that 20 years ago.
Argentina is more like that now than Colombia.
South America just makes me nervous in general because it's like, I hear...
It's amazing what's
some
going on
countries are incredibly dangerous and other ones are incredibly safe and refined.
Yeah.
And
right now, Argentina was the kind of...
Kidnappings are a big deal down there.
Yeah. No, it's not what you think it is.
Anyway.
I'm glad I went.
Hey, this...
but the startup scenes down there, awesome. They're all on fire down there.
I know, they're a fuego. Listen... I just hope that all those startups are using MailChimp. You must have missed that.
Yeah.
Listen.
It came back for that.
What do we use for the This Week in Mailing List? MailChimp. What do we use for the launch ticker? Hey, since you've been gone, we launched this launch ticker. It's got $725.
No, it was starting right when I was
just when you were
leaving.
leaving. $725 in recurring revenue per month.
Well, yeah, but
so that's 10 times a year.
Yeah.
So that's like if it cost $100,000 to hire 2 researchers to do it, that's 10% of the way there. Mm-hmm. I think Jason DeMont got a sponsor, possibly. And we're using MailChimp, and 3,300 people signed up for the MailChimp. So it's like adding 500 people a week. It's doing great. And it's all due to MailChimp. Everybody loves it. And we send one text template out. We send one HTML template out. And if you have 2,000 subscribers and 12,000 emails per month, it's free. Mobile-friendly templates are gorgeous. My God, they make it so easy. And drag and drop file uploading, and the free plan is always free. I cannot tell you how awesome it is for me to be the host of the show. This is like we're 275 episodes in here, and it's so awesome that I can just read a commercial and have a supporter like MailChimp because I actually use the product. It's so easy to use. I can tell you just unequivocally, you will love the product. And if you have any kind of a business, small, large, or medium, you have to start collecting emails. Every day you don't collect emails, you're losing that opportunity. Think about it. If you've been in business for 3 years and you just got 10 emails per day, that would be like 3,650 emails per year. Times that by 3, 10,000 emails. What could you do with 10,000 emails of your best customers right now? And that's if you just collected 10 goddamn emails a day. And you're not listening to me? You haven't put the sign-up form on yet? What do I have to do? I mean, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, please, for the love of God, put a sign-up on your damn website for your email and get an email list going. I'm trying to explain this to people, Tyler, till I'm blue in the face. I mean, I'm going crazy here. Sign up for MailChimp and start collecting those valuable emails. Those emails are worth, on the open market, $5 to $25 each. That's what an email sign-up is worth, $5 to $25. Every day you collect 5, 10, 20 of them, it's like making $200 or $300 because you can sell that person in the future on your products and services. They may not need them now, but they may need them 6 months, 12 months, even 2 or 3 years from now. I get emails from some brands that today, you know what? I'll tell you an example. I get an email from Delta. They said I have 80,000 miles. I said, I have 85,000 miles on Delta. I didn't remember I had 85,000 miles. And I just booked a first-class ticket to New York round trip because I didn't even know I had it. And Delta re-engaged me as a customer. And then I found out Delta had Wi-Fi on all their flights. I didn't know that either. And they have plugs now. I hated Delta for like years because they didn't have plugs in Wi-Fi. Now I find out they do. Now Delta's back on my radar. That's what email does for you. That's what MailChimp will do for you. You keep that constant communication, decade-long communications. People don't... When's the last time you changed your email? You haven't changed it 5, 10, 15, 20 years probably. That's the power of MailChimp. Okay, everybody, let's go to questions. Let's go to question number 1. It's from Rudy in Boise, Idaho. Rudy, are you there?
Boise, Idaho? Yes, I am here.
No, where are you based?
I'm in Arvada, Colorado, actually. I'm halfway between Boulder and Denver.
Oh, wow. Great. Colorado. What a great place. Tell me, my son, what is your question?
Okay, so I have a startup called HireFlow, and HireFlow is an applicant tracking system. So I've heard you talk about them on the show. I know you're familiar with those. And one of the things that we do is we do integrations with job boards and aggregators. So someone will put a job into HireFlow, and then we push it out to SimplyHired, Monster, wherever. So I'm setting up one of these integrations with Indeed a couple of weeks back, and everything's great until I get the contract. The contract requires that HireFlow give Indeed exclusivity. So what they mean by that is that if HireFlow sends paid job listings to Indeed's pay-per-click network, we're not allowed to send paid job listings to any of Indeed's competitors that also use a pay-per-click model. So my reaction to this was, of course, that's ridiculous. You can't tell me where I can advertise. That's nonsense.
Right.
So from there it got a little bit worse. The rep that I'm talking to actually said that I shouldn't worry about it because, as far as he knows, the only company that this applies to is SimplyHired, which is Indeed's closest competitor.
Right.
And I shouldn't be using SimplyHired anyway. I should just sign the contract.
Huh. Interesting.
So at this point, I escalated it to one of the Indeed founders, and I sent an email to Rony Kahan, and I said, this is the conversation that I had with one of your reps earlier today, and it seems seriously anti-competitive to me. Is this true? Is this really how you guys do business? And to his credit, I got a response that same day. He didn't call me, but their director of alliances called me and said, unfortunately what he said was that, yeah, it's true. And if you want to do business with Indeed, then we require exclusivity. You can't use our competitors.
Interesting.
So
all right.
My question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question for you is, first of all, I think this is seriously anti-competitive. I had a very negative reaction to it. So is it really that bad, or am I just being a little naive here? And second, if you were the small player in this market and you're dealing with someone like Indeed who has a lot of power, how would you react? Would you make that deal, or what would your response be?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I remember this coming up in the early days of blogging where one ad network would not let you have other ads on the same page, right? So if you wanted to have, like, I can't remember, I think Google was cool with multiple text providers on a page.
Federated or something was.
But like Federated, or maybe it was Yahoo. Forgive me, I don't remember exactly who, but for argument's sake, Yahoo didn't want Google on the same page, or Google didn't want Yahoo on the page, who knows? And their thinking was, I guess...
they want to lock down the marketplace.
They want to lock down the marketplace. And so you don't have any... I'm guessing you don't have any leverage in this situation because I don't think you have a tremendous amount of traffic and you're an upstart. And I guess, if somebody wants exclusivity... So is it a bad thing for one company to want exclusivity? It is against, I would say, the gestalt and the sort of general feel of the internet today to ask for exclusive. Most people want you to... Most of those draconian things, like exclusivity or locking you into a 2-year deal, those things have started to go away for lightweight models like pay-as-you-go, or we will rise and fall based upon our own merits of our own product. And if you don't like MailChimp, then you can leave anytime you want. That kind of thing. Or if you don't like Rackspace, you can leave anytime you want. I don't know if Rackspace does that, or Amazon is a perfect deal. Like, Amazon is not requiring you to say, I'm going to sign up for a 3-year deal. And just 5 years ago, that's what you have to do if you wanted to get hosting. So times are changing, but some companies may not change with time. So what I would say is, look in the contract. This is how I would handle it. I would say, what do I get for giving you that exclusivity? If I give you exclusivity, what am I going to get in return? Give me something. And then it's a bargaining chip. So I would ask for 100% of the revenue for the first 6 months. I would ask for a minimum payment, whatever you think you can get away with. Or I would say, well, we want to be able to, I don't know what the cancellation rights are here, but to cancel the deal at any time, certainly you should be able to do that. Are you able to cancel the deal at any time with notice?
Yeah, with standard 30-day terms, you can cancel.
Right. So here, it's sort of like, and who knows if they enforce it. And so what you could do is you could be a gangster and just sign the agreement. There's like 2 different ways you could do it. This is one thing I do sometimes. This is a high-level negotiating tactic. I will take a contract. There's something I don't like in the contract. I cross it out. Just cross it out. Boop, crossed out. And then I just write something in hand notes. Just cross that out. Okay, it's exclusive. And I would just say, SimplyHired, Indeed will be the primary provider of paid links, but we reserve the right to use other parties. And I'll initial it. And then I'll send it back to them. And I'll say, listen, I sent the contract back. It's got 1 change in it. If that's okay with you, it's a signed contract. It's binding. I've initialed the change. And if you like it, go ahead and sign it. And 9 times out of 10, people will just be like, I don't want to fight with Calacanis. And they'll just sign it, right? You may be able to actually get away with that, where you just say, like, hey, I put a little change in it. But if it's a 30-day out and SimplyHired is not really, doesn't really make a difference, I would just go for it and move on. It's not a major issue, but it does feel a little icky. And now Indeed looks a little bit like they're being petty. It actually means that SimplyHired may have something going on. Let's go to our next caller. I think we did a pretty good job there. Carolyn, can we go to our next caller? Is that John?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Give us your question.
Doing pretty well. So I have a startup that came out of beta in February of this year called Ad Shoppers, and what we do, we're a social sharing platform for retailers where we track the ROI of Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all these things on a SKU level. And when we came out, we got a lot of attention, and it kind of brought some negative attention as far as copycats and that kind of thing. So I was wondering, how does a startup strike a balance between getting exposure, telling a good story, and then not attracting the wrong kind of people like copycats and patent trolls and those kind of guys?
Yeah, this is a question I'm faced with sometimes. Every time I launch a new product, people copy it, right? Like, especially people in Germany. Like, I launched this weekend, they created a copy of that copycat this weekend where they did, they did the ugly part of the set. Like, I don't like the 2 TVs back here and the black background, so I'm having a new set built. They copied the thing I don't like and I'm changing, right? So it's like, it's maddening, the copying that goes on. You can't let it make you too crazy. As you can see, I get a little crazy about it from time to time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And as a founder, you have to realize that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's very easy to start. It's very hard to finish a marathon. So while anybody can jump into the marathon and start off, you start getting to the 10-mile marker, the 13.1 mile marker, the 15-mile marker, and then you hit the wall at 18, 19 miles, which is probably 4 or 5 years in, or 3 or 4 years in. And then all of a sudden people start dropping with flies, cramps, puking, diarrhea. People are just dying on the side of the road. I mean, literally, I've seen people die in the New York City Marathon on the side of the road. It's pretty brutal. Like, literally, people like quivering in pain. Like, literally, curled up. Their bodies just seize. And that's what happens with startups, too. So you can't let it phase you all that much. And you don't ever want to give out the secret sauce. You never want to. There's 2 general things. One, I never give out the secret sauce of what's really working. And number 2, I don't talk about anything until I have a product in the market to sell, right? So I'm not going to tell people, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'll just wait until we're ready to do that, and then I put it out there. So generally, you can just don't give people the secret sauce is number 1. Number 2, don't get too freaked out about it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't get bent out of shape about it. And 3, don't start showing the new features and the good stuff until you're ready to actually launch it. Like, don't show the roadmap ahead of time. I think that's key. What do you think, Tyler? You've gone through this a little bit with Skweal, right? A lot of people copying Skweal.
Yeah. Gosh, it's different in every case when people copy. I mean, there's the international issue with Germany, who seems to do it all the time, and then there's locally. And, you just constantly have to be zagging. You can't be sitting still too long, because that's what's copyable. If you're constantly moving and evolving, that's harder to copy.
Said another way, there are these people who have who knock off Chanel, or there are people who will knock off a great science fiction film, but you don't know who they are, and they generally don't wind up becoming great people in the history of whatever their particular genres are. The people who wind up doing great are the people who stick with it and iterate and make the 9 and 10 products. The people who make the copycat products, they generally don't have a great life. They're kind of up against it,
And frankly, you should go into any project assuming it's going to be copied.
Yeah, if it's not getting copied, you might be doing something wrong at this point, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many Pinterest clones I see. Does that make you feel a little bit better, Joe?
So I just be flattered and not worry about it.
You can't let it get on your...
You should. I mean, anybody who has an idea that they're thinking about doing should assume, okay, I'm going to build this, and at month whatever, it's going to get copied. Then what?
Right, but don't. The point is, don't tell people what you're going to do ahead of time. Just let it get into the market, and then you get your press, and you're fine. And then if people start copying you, like Tyler's saying, it's flattery. And you know what? You might learn something from them, So you can go back and look at what they're innovating, and now you got all these people trailing you. But you've got to run it like a marathon. Don't look behind you. Look ahead of you. Look at the road ahead. What are you doing to innovate? What problems are you solving? Because what happens a lot of times, I'll be honest, you're heading for the finish line, and you have to make a turn, you have to pivot or something like that, and there's a cliff. So you make the turn, because you can see it, you're leading the pack. Those other people are blindly following. You know what they do? They go right off the cliff. They go right off the cliff. They're blindly following you. So you just, watch them go off the cliff. Like James Bond or something, you're being chased, just make a little turn, and they'll go off the cliff. So I wouldn't worry about it. It's a great question, and thanks for calling in, John. You have a favorite guest on the show? You seem like you're a super fan. Have you had a favorite guest?
Tyler.
Tyler. You can't say Tyler.
I have a quick follow-up.
Okay.
Your new Tesla Model S in 3 words.
Good question.
I was going to say something that would cost me a lot of money in the swear jar.
Don't worry about the swear jar.
I would say holy fracking sugar. Like, literally, it's so fast and so buttery. I just took the family on, like, a little staycation, went to the beach, and then went to the aquarium the next day, drove it over 200 miles on one charge, and it was delightful. It's like driving the future. It's gorgeous. And I showed it to 2 famous people, one famous angel investor and one of the most famous founders on Saturday. Probably, both of them very well. And I was just, we had, like, a little kids thing. We're all hanging out and had the new car. They both bought the car. That was on a Saturday. They both bought the car on Sunday and Monday.
Wow.
I emailed Alon and was like, hey, and I introduced him, like, hey, this person founded X company, which is one of the 5 most famous companies right now, and this person is the angel investor in one of the 5 most famous companies, among others. If you wind up having a cancellation on the list, can you consider them to move them up? Because sometimes people cancel.
Sure.
And although Alon doesn't move people up the list, the list is the list. That's it. You got your deposit in. You deserve to be number 1 or number 1,000, whatever it is. And I think there's 12,000 people on the list now. It's over 11. But what happens is if somebody cancels, then Alon can pick who gets that spot, which is kind of powerful when you think about it. But yeah, it's an incredible car. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. It's right outside right now, and it's just delightful. I think it's like the driving experience. I'll take you for a ride in after. It's like basically the iPad of cars. That's the only way to explain it. Great job, and we'll talk to you next time, John.
All right, thanks, guys.
Hey, and if you guys have to talk to somebody, use GoToMeeting. I just used it right before I got in here. Had a great meeting with a company that's building something really cool. As a matter of fact, it was one of the MailChimp founders who introduced me to the company that I'm considering angel investing. That was a really cool education startup. They showed me what they were doing, and I was like, oh, let me switch the screen. You take control of the screen. Oh, I'll take control. Let me show you what I'm doing. Let me show you what you're doing. And we were flipping back and forth, sharing the screen like 2 or 3 times. It was really cool, and it was stable, and the video was perfect, and the call started on time. I don't know how many times I got to tell you people, GoToMeeting is the gold standard, and if you're hosting an online meeting, it works on Mac, PC, iPad. You just send that quick little URL to somebody, not handles, not like maybe I'll see you online with a status message, whatever. It just works. You send that URL, and the meeting's going to start on time. They've now got that HD faces that makes you look like you're in the same room. And, again, I am so lucky to have them as a sponsor because I use the product all the time. I've been using it for years, and it's very easy for me to tell you, get yourself a membership, use it exclusively, because if you don't start meetings on time and you can't control each other's screen and flip who the presenter is and all that kind of awesome stuff, stably, quickly, reliably, your meeting is going to get foobarred, and when your meeting gets foobarred, you're going to look like an idiot, and it really reflects badly. It's like I had somebody call me who was looking for me to be an angel investor just today. They called me on their mobile phone while driving down the 280, and I said, you know what? I don't mean to be old school, but if you're going to talk to an investor, if I'm talking to an investor, I'm closed room, on the phone with a landline or a GoToMeeting line, something that is stable, not some cell phone driving in the country in Woodside. I mean, really, the 280's got no service.
Right.
How could there possibly be no service on 280? Shouldn't Google and Apple just run fiber and Wi-Fi lines up and down that highway and make it like why isn't Verizon making that LTE the whole way up and down so that people can...
It's like the most iPhone dense.
Exactly. It's ridiculous.
Ever, yeah.
But anyway, the point is, be a professional and use a professional service like GoToMeeting. Use the promo code START, S-T-A-R-T, start using GoToMeeting, and thank them at GoToMeeting on your Twitter handle. Let's do another call. Kathryn, are you there?
I'm here. How are you?
I'm great. Oh, we have a female founder. Tell us, what's your question?
So recently I came across a photo on my Instagram feed of a startup CEO. Mm-hmm. And he was with his entire company.
Yes.
Wearing logo T-shirts, and they were posing with the waitresses at a Hooters-style restaurant.
Ah, like the tilted kilt or tilted kilt. Is that the one that I see the ads in the
Sky
in-flight magazine? The Sky Miles tilted kilt. Yep. It's a whole genre of
It's like
restaurants.
Hooters for legs is like the marketing.
All right. Anyway, keep going, Kathryn.
Right. Totally cool with it. I don't care what people do in their personal lives. I would never judge anyone based on going to restaurants like that. But do you think it's a good idea to wear your logo T-shirts and pose with your entire company and then put it online? And as a follow-up question, how do you think that relates to what happened to the GoDaddy CEO and the debacle that happened after he killed an elephant and then posed with the GoDaddy hat?
Yeah. This is a great question, and it goes to common sense. It goes to sexual harassment on the far end, common sense in general. Okay, working backwards. When I saw the GoDaddy thing, and I saw not only did he take the photos, he did a video of himself killing an elephant. You know that's going to upset people. Elephants are loved creatures. They're just beautiful and majestic, and you go shoot one on video in a sadistic manner and then take a picture of it and show the people, and you play like a Metallica song and they're cutting the meat off of the animal. I mean, it was barbaric. And I understand in places in the world they eat elephant, and I understand they're overpopulated, but still, what does this have to do with my domain registrar? And I'm a GoDaddy customer, and I know the CEO, Parsons, but and I've been a fan of GoDaddy for a long time. It just, to me, that just reeked of stupidity and a lack of judgment. And I'll tell you what happens sometimes.
Do you think net, though, did he end up losing or winning?
Net, it probably winds up being, any PR is good PR, it probably winds up being a plus. As insane as that sounds.
And do you think that was nearly intentional?
No. But he's a provocateur.
But it wasn't the first time 2 months prior he did something else that was kind of...
What did he do before
wacky?
that?
I forget what it was.
He's been doing the TNA-based commercials based on GoDaddy for a long time. Now, can you use sexuality in advertising and marketing for a consumer-based product? I guess so, sure. Why not? People sell Diet Coke with, guys with their shirts off, women with not with their shirts off, but in bikinis or whatever. So that's marketing and advertising. But for the CEO, male or female, to be involved in this kind of shenanigans is just not necessary and just lacks judgment. But he's a pretty controversial guy. Working backwards now, you have a Techstars Boulder company posing with Hooters waitresses. Number one, if you're the CEO of a company and you take your team to a sexually themed restaurant or a booby themed, I guess it's a booby themed restaurant. It's not sexually themed restaurant. But if you go to I would never take my company to Hooters. I never took the company to Hooters, right?
No, we never did, no.
Okay, thank God.
We did order in their wings from time to time.
Okay, so we ordered wings or whatever from there. The point is, you are asking for a sexual harassment suit because all it takes is for one person to feel uncomfortable. And I have to explain this to people because people will make jokes in companies. I've seen senior managers do it. I've seen rank and file people do it. One person, I'm trying to think of all the different stories, but people will make inappropriate comments like, this person has this anatomy, whatever. There's no place in the workforce for it. And actually a really good analogy would be at TechCrunch 50 and launch, every year somebody decided to send in a bunch of booth babes. And in some cases, you could have attractive people working in your
one
booth.
year they collected the most coins.
And they did collect the most coins. And they basically hired people who didn't know what the product was. They were wearing skin-tight red dresses. And these were obviously strippers. I mean, I don't mean to be cruel to the women, but they fit a certain profile, let's say, that it was pretty clear they went and hired 3 or 4 people from a service that would specialize in such things.
They were aiming below the belt is what you were...
Absolutely, Tyler, thank you. So anyway, that's just stupid on the part of the Techstars Boulder company. But it's kind of in the gray area because a lot of people do go to Hooters, and I think people forget with Hooters that it's what Hooters are. You know, it's based on boobies and based on cleavage and this kind of stuff. So it's not quite taking the company to a strip club, but it's not taking them to a non-strip club either. So I would just avoid that at all costs. Now, should the founder be fired or whatever? The founder somebody needs to talk to him because, or her, because if they would show the lack of judgment with that, then they might actually go to the next phase, right? So I always, when somebody makes a comment that's just even borderline, you've been with me. I've told people, don't call them PR girls, right? So sometimes people will use language like PR girls, and I'm like, don't call people PR girls. They are PR executives. When you say PR girls, you're diminishing those people. You wouldn't call them programmer boys, just calling people PR girls. Hacker boys, like it's just derogatory, right? Yeah. And so people have this sexist language where they call women girls and they call men men. They're women, but you don't have to use gender. Stop using gender when you're talking about stuff. Just say executives, PR executive. You don't have to say fire man. You say firefighter. So anyway, Kathryn, this person lacked judgment, and somebody should talk to them. But it's not like a fireable offense in my mind. It's a talk them through the issue like I just did.
Right. I mean, the other point that is very relevant that I see, and maybe you could comment on this about companies coming out of incubators, is that a lot of folks don't have experience in the business world, and so startups are a wild ride, and oftentimes they don't have the business etiquette skills that they should have once they start entering the business community.
Yeah,
have you seen that?
Clearly our industry is filled with people who it's their first company and it's their first job at the same time. Zuckerberg started at 19 years old, 18 years old doing Facebook, and now he's a 27-year-old president of a $40-50 billion company. Or maybe it's $4 or $5 billion today. I don't know how much it went down. But yeah, so people come in and they make stupid mistakes all the time. I don't know, do you have some kind of horse in this race? Do you know the founder? Are you competitors with the founder? Are you friends with the founder?
No, I'm no horse in this race at all.
Yeah, you just saw it as a woman.
I didn't bring it up to hurt anyone's business or anything like that. I just think it's an important point to make, and I think that people coming out of incubators need to focus not only on their products and their customers, but they're going to try to sell their companies. You're going to be interacting with venture capitalists, and it's just very important to have.
Were you offended as a woman? Were you offended?
I wasn't personally offended, actually. I wanted to bring it to the attention of this person because I think that if they don't pay attention to it, it could actually harm them. So rather than me harming this person by pointing it out and saying, why did you do that? I'm just trying to help them down the road. Yeah. I think that point gets lost.
I agree. So, it's a rookie mistake. And we didn't bring up the name of the company. We didn't, we're not like trying to we're not trying to give a hard time to anybody, but it's a great question, Kathryn, and I thank you for asking it. And this kind of issues keep coming up. We had a really, Gina Bianconci was on the program for Mighty Bell, and we had a really interesting, we weren't around for that, but we had a really interesting discussion about women founders and how they're treated and how they're not treated, and when they get more attention, when they get less attention, and kudos, the whole sort of up and down of the situation. And she, has been in the business for a long time. And she had some you guys can look that up. Let's go to our next caller, which I believe is Scott. Scott, are you there?
Yeah, hi, Jason.
Scott, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the question. I'm actually a couple founder with one other, and the question basically is, should we reveal that we're a couple when talking with investors? And if so, how should we go about alleviating any concerns them or indeed any future employees may have?
That's a great question.
Married couple or dating couple? Or?
Yeah, married, dating.
Trust you to say that, Tyler.
Yeah.
We're a fiancé at the moment, but I'm talking married as well in general here.
Okay, I got to think about this one. See, now I don't prepare for the show. I didn't look at the questions. I could have, actually. Carolyn does share with me. But I didn't actually look at the questions today, so I'm thinking off my feet here. I just had somebody on who was a couple, and I actually asked them on the air if they were a couple, and they were like, yes. And my wife previously worked at Weblogs Inc. and helped out. So I don't have...
This is co-founders. It's a little different.
Yeah. I have no issue with it. Flickr was founded by co-founders who subsequently I think, separated. And so I'm sure there are many, and I think Bebo was another one. So Flickr, Bebo. I'm trying to think.
Eventbrite?
Eventbrite is a very successful couple. So I think that actually it makes for a very tight family, close-knit startup.
I guess you could argue in an odd way that if you assume the guy is in general, it's usually the guy who's doing the startup, and then the woman in the relationship kind of has to tolerate his craziness for doing this startup. But if she's...
Well, and the majority of startups right now today, 2012, it's male founders. Right. And if they did have a spouse and they were female, yes, that would probably be the majority of situations.
So in this case, if she's along for the ride,
right the other partner,
right?
Yeah, it doesn't even have to matter for gender. You basically know the other spouse is in it for the long term and believes in it.
Right.
So I kind of like that because that is a big issue with venture capitalists is they wind up being hated by the wives because starting a company means you have to sacrifice so much. So I actually have no problem with it. I think you say it up front. I think you say, and you can sort of incorporate it into the story. Hey, we're doing this, your API, and we're both hackers, and we came up with this idea together, and we worked 7 days a week on it, and on our honeymoon we did this, and, whatever. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's awesome for the company because people who join the company, then if you have a husband and wife team or a husband and husband team or wife and wife team, whatever it is, it just creates a massive sense of community in the company. I know Eventbrite and Flickr and Bebo all had that, actually. Now that I think about it, those companies were known for having a great culture. I think it builds a great culture. It makes, if these startups are families and you're starting with mommy and daddy or mommy and mommy, hey, great start. I like it. I don't think there's any problem. And any VC who has a problem with it or angel has a problem with it is probably an idiot. You don't want investing in your company anyway. So own it.
Oh, well, funny you should say that. We had some interesting meetings already, hence the question. So it's just opportune that we're asked on TWiST about the questions coming up.
Do you feel that they held it against you or they feel they didn't care?
Well, short story. We're just in the potential final 10 selection for an accelerator a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And we saw a lot of mentors, and let's just say the overriding feedback was the team was pretty much discounted because of the relationship. In fact, we had some feedback where it pretty much was commented pretty clearly that we don't invest in couples. That's why I was asking the question.
Wow, if that's true, and you can get that, either on tape or on in an email or in any way documented. That person is screwed, and they rightfully should be. That's ridiculous. A person should be, and a startup should be, it's got to be merit-based. And if anybody,
it was a little surprising. Sorry to cut across.
Who was it? Which firm was? You're not going to get in, so you might as well.
I won't go into that. That's just off topic. We had these meetings and we had feedback. I don't know who said it. We just got feedback from everyone, and this is one of the comments we got back.
Wow. That's shocking to me. Shocking to me, Scott.
I was a bit surprised as well myself, to say the least.
Oh, I wish you would tell me which incubator that was, because I would give them a reading to right now. That's not acceptable. That's crazy. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, let me tell you something about investors and what I've learned. If you have a hockey stick, if you have a hot startup, if you're building a beautiful product, your customers love you, they will kill their grandmothers to get to that product. They literally will step on their grandmother's faces, 9 out of 10 VCs, to invest. And you see it happen all the time. These investors, most venture capitalists, they care about a return, and then they care about a return, and then they care about a return. And that's 9 out of 10 of them. They care about returns. And if they think that you're going to get them a return and you're going to return the fund, then they're going to invest. So you just keep at it and make the product better and better. And since it's your future spouse, congratulations on that. You guys just crush it and you put it back in their face like I did when that godforsaken VC invited me to go to his partners meeting, and then while I was in the air flying to his office, canceled the meeting on me. I'll never forgive that guy. And every time I see him, he asked me to forgive him, and I say no. And you just go right back to them. When you raise your money and you sell your company for a lot of money, you tell them exactly how much money they lost, those bastards. Seriously, screw them. You got to put it in their face now. After that, they disrespected you.
Pretty good right now. So, ironically, we're quite glad we didn't get in because other things are opening up. So,
you go put it in their face. Good. Okay, Scott. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
That just infuriates me. What do you think of that? You really think that that's possible? That's crazy.
It's interesting, though, that mathematically it seems to have been a benefit of the ones that have tried.
Whoever nicks them based on being a couple, I think...
I can see at first blush if you don't analyze it too much.
Maybe it's just, you know what, it could be one of these new accelerators where I can't see why comedy at Techstars ever
I don't see either of those.
They're just way too savvy. But it's got to be one of these new pop-up incubator accelerators run by a bunch of local yokel knuckleheads because... And there are a lot of them. We have to talk about that later privately. Just that I've been looking at these companies from the LA incubators. Mm-hmm. A couple of them are really bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want to say bad things about fellow startups or founders. Obviously, the show's about founders that I'm a fan. But I think some of these accelerators are accepting companies and...
Well, they were competing for a while just to get...
Anybody. And then I think the advice they gave them was bad in some of these accelerators. I'll talk to you about the one or two companies I saw that were really bad. Anyway,
out of what 6 incubators, we call it 12 apiece. You're talking 70 startups. You're going to have a couple bad ones.
Yeah. No, I know, but I think this is like the entire incubator came up with duds.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, let's take another caller. Parker, you there?
I'm here, Jason.
Parker can't lose. Go ahead, Parker.
All right. Recently, I've seen an opportunity to disrupt the do-it-yourself auto repair industry. And it's kind of going to be like a tree house for auto repair. We're going to teach you everything you need to know about repairing your car yourself. And my question is, what is the best format for these videos? Is it YouTube, a website, an app, or all of the above?
Yeah, that's a great question. Number one, I love the idea. Teaching people technical trades, great. Cars, there's always going to be cars, they're always going to be breaking down. How do you gain that knowledge? I'm sure there's a whole market of people who would love to get that information. And that's something people would pay for because if you learn that skill, you would then be able to get a job that pays money and we have an employment problem. So I do think it's a good idea. Where to host the videos. If you host the videos on YouTube, you will get caught up in the YouTube 150 million US unique visitors. It's like a juggernaut. So what do people do today? This is one of the reasons why Google bought YouTube, was people were going to YouTube and searching, how do I do X? How do I change a filter? How do I change a carburetor? How do I gap a spark plug? People were typing that in Google, and then they started typing it to YouTube, and YouTube said, wait a second. Google said, wait a second. YouTube is number 5 on the list of search engines. It's not a search engine. And I was like, oh, no, it's not a search engine. It's a search engine plus the host of the content. So that's why they bought it, and it was probably the best purchase in the history of the internet. So if you have to be on YouTube to a certain extent to get customers. But then you don't want to give away the farm, right? Because you want a certain number of them to come back. So what you do is at the end of each video, you say, for the other 15 videos in this 20 video collection, go to this website, get their email using MailChimp or other, get the goddamn email address, and then tell them you'll email them. And I just did this myself. We're part of the, I'm going to show you something that I never showed anybody. But if you go to MMAsurge.com, I'm going through this myself, which is we're doing 9 shows for YouTube as part of the YouTube Partner Program here at Mahalo. And I wanted to get people's email addresses. So now when you come to the MMA Surge website, it says 10 secret moves, get these exclusive moves, and you type in your email address, and now we've got it, and then we email you those moves. Now, of course, you can watch the YouTube videos and subscribe to them, and we have those right here. And that's awesome, too. And we want people to go subscribe to it. But we also want to get their email addresses, and we're going to be putting this in an app. So the answer is yes, yes, yes. We're going to have some things that you can only unlock by email. Those are the 10 secret moves. So you could do, hey, get the 10 most common repairs that you need to know, or the 5 most common tools, whatever it is, some gimmick that really provides, not a gimmick, something that provides true value, but it's going to increase conversion is what I mean, not a gimmick, but it will increase the conversion. When I see I want to get the 10 secret moves for mixed martial arts, sure, and who doesn't? 10 secret moves, sure, sign me up. Sign me up, get the email. So you do the same thing. Then second, what you want to do is you want to have an app, sure, that's a great thing. People search for automotive in the App Store, but for your demographic, I'm not sure they're going to be looking for it there just yet, maybe eventually. So I think YouTube is the place to do it. You can also charge for videos on YouTube. So we had a show here, Pensado's Place, and Dave wound up moving on and doing some teaching or something. But we had this archive. I was like, what do we do with the archive? I put the whole archive on pay-per-view for $10 an episode, and now we're selling every week. We sell a couple of them, so we're making some money off the archive. And the audience gets to pay for it, and they love the show, so it's great for us. So you can actually do pay-per-view on YouTube. So if you get a YouTube channel going where you have 100 free videos, on your site you have another 200 that are paid, and then you can do some pay-per-view on YouTube. I'd try everything because you have to go to where the customers are. And by the way, for MMA Surge, we did a Pinterest board, we're doing Tumblr, and we're doing MailChimp, and we're doing Twitter. Like, you have to do everything. Put a little bit of content out there, and then have it all culminate in getting the email address. That's my best advice. Tyler, you have anything to add? No. There you go. Tyler says no. He gets it.
Good deal.
Is that helpful?
Yes, it was. And I've got one more question.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you'd be able to answer or not, but what is your advice to be able to get an inventory of cars to shoot the videos?
That's a great question. To get an inventory of cars, well, if you can partner with some mechanics who have a regular flow of cars into their, automotive location, that would be one way to do it, I guess. Another way would be just to go on Craigslist and say, we're looking to do a Toyota Prius, and in exchange for letting us film these things with your car, we will replace your tires, or we'll change your spark plugs, or give you a free tune-up. So, Craigslist, people are always looking for those weird opportunities, and then people see it there and they'll, oh, wow, that's a pretty good deal. I can get new spark plugs and new tires or whatever. We'll change your alignment. So that's the way I would do it. I would go on Craigslist and offer that as an opportunity.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Good luck with it, Parker. It's a good idea. Keep us updated on how it's going. Hey, Kevin, are you there? I guess Kevin is up next. It's a pretty good question. These are all good questions today. Mm-hmm. Kevin, are you there?
I'm there.
Oh, great. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
So, Kevin, you have a question? Let's hear it.
Well, I'm starting a new venture called Marriage Share.
Okay.
I've got a couple gray hairs. It's not out of college, so I'm wondering...
You're an old guy.
I'm an old guy.
Yeah.
But how much money should I be investing into my own venture? Do I need to come in around the same level as one of the other angel investors, and how much do I save for follow-on rounds?
That was a good question. Some people say never invest your own money. Some people say I'll pay for it myself, and then I'll have a better opportunity. I'll get a better valuation when I do go to VCs. And if I was starting another company from scratch, I might actually spend 6 months funding it myself to just see if there was anything there before I raise money. But I've had VCs come up to me and say, I'll give you a blank check for $4 million for your next company, for a third of the company, go, and I'm just like, well, I got to finish this one. And I don't know if I'm going to do another company. I'll probably be a venture capitalist after this, or just a professional angel investor, to be honest. So it really depends on how much of your personal net worth it is. I wouldn't put more than 5% of your personal net worth into it. So if it was $50,000, you had $1 million in actual assets, not the stock of the company that you're starting, but real assets, I don't think $50,000 would be ridiculous, but you don't really need to do it if it's a great product. So if you can't get other people to invest in it, then it's kind of weird. But if you are a flush individual and you've got a lot of money and you won't put your own money in, then it can kind of look a little strange in a non-hot market. But it's a hot market right now. So it's a little bit of a little, you can go either way on this one. As far as I'm concerned, if you can't raise money for it, and you have to use your own, you might be in a position where you're not actually onto a great idea, because other angels should be savvy enough to get it. So I'm not certain exactly. Do you have other angel interest?
Wanted to see me kind of invest side by side with them.
The other angels wanted to see that?
Well, no, if they would. I haven't started the process yet. So
yeah. When you start the process, what you'll see is no angel wants to see the people under duress, right? So I've had angel investments where I've seen the founders start to get under duress. That doesn't help anybody. You want a little bit of a natural, stress, but you don't want it to tip over into paralyzing anxiety. And so if somebody's having financial problems and you need them to take a salary, if let's say they have a spouse, you don't want the spouse freaking out. God forbid they got kids and a mortgage and you're an older guy, maybe you have those things. You got to really think about these things like, hey, month 18 in, month 20 in, are you going to have too much pressure on you where it's going to be debilitating and you're not going to be focused on the business? So You got to really think about that. I don't think angels will expect it, at least not the professional ones, and not in a market like this. They want to buy up as much of these, shares as available. So it's totally unnecessary, and probably if you have to do it, it might be a sign that your idea is not that good, or the angels are not that good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my best advice. Good luck with it.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Yeah. Mahalo. Well, that was a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
I think we got a lot accomplished. I feel like we gave some good answers.
Yes.
Especially you, Tyler.
Sometimes no answer is the best answer.
All right, let's rate the questions and we'll pick the winner. Who had the best question? Rudy on higher flow, and getting the
the anti-competitive.
The anti-competitive question.
Yep.
John from Ad Shoppers, who was worried about the copycats. Kathryn, who was worried about Hooters and inappropriate behavior on the part of CEOs. Scott, who was the founder spouse's question. Parker, who was where to put videos. Or Kevin, who was, do I invest my own money?
I got.
Wait. Should I put mine down and then you put yours? And then you pick mine, I pick yours?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Da-da-da. I think that I don't see you liking the Hooters question. I think you would like that question. And I think I would like...
I think we're going to pick the same one.
Yeah, I think you're going to pick the same one. So I'm going to say that you like the ad shopper one about worrying about competitors following you and all that kind of stuff.
No.
No, okay. No one can say different. What do you like?
I like the couples one.
That's my second choice. I did like that one a lot too because it was a good thought experiment that there were other couples who had the same issue.
It was interesting to see how many there are.
Well, that was off the top of my head. Flickr.
I know. Off the top of our head, we pulled out quite a few.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. I think it'd be a bigger... Well, I think it's like entrepreneurship is a very lonely thing sometimes.
There's a bunch of successful ones. That's what's surprising.
Yeah, and entrepreneurship can be very lonely, and having somebody there by your side, but it also could take over your life together as a couple, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
If anything, you'll find out real fast. Like if it.
Yeah, and who's in charge? I guess when it comes down to when I did Weblogs Inc., it was clear I was the CEO of the company because I founded it. My wife came in later. But in the case of Bebo or Eventbrite or Flickr, I think that those were started jointly. So I don't know if one person was the CEO or not, or how that works in those things. So you have to take a look at each one. But anyway, it's been a great program. Thank you so much, Tyler, for being here. Thank you, MailChimp, and thank you, of course, to GoToMeeting for flawless HD faces. And what a great program. Use the promo code START. And go ahead and thank at GoToMeeting and go ahead and thank at MailChimp on your Twitter account. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.